Welcome to Sun Devil Stadium. Baylor against Colgate. For this Action PC playoff game. Here's the kick from Scoville. The kick from Scoville is returned 12 yards by Patterson, Kazuria on the stop. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Patterson fades back to pass. Patterson is running with it. 9-yard run by Patterson, Lube on the stop. Single wing formation. The give to Murka. Murka on the carry, gain of 1, Zimmerman on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Patterson calls the signals. Graham takes the handoff. Graham on the carry, gain of 5, Buck with the tackle. Single wing formation. Patterson calls the signals. The snap is fumbled. Fumble. Patterson on the carry, loss of 4, fumble recovered by Patterson. Baylor maintains possession. 3rd and 9. Single wing formation. Patterson at the line. He fades back to pass. Medium in. Complete. Patterson passes to Wimpy, 32-yard gain, Lube with the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Witt gives to Llewellyn. Llewellyn with the carry, no gain, Neal with the tackle. Single wing formation. Witt hands to Witt. 9-yard run by Witt, Buck on the tackle. Third and 1 from the 19. Single wing formation. Witt on the run. Patterson on the carry, no gain, Wemple on the tackle. Fourth and 1 from the 19. Single wing formation. Transfers control to Patterson. He throws to Witt. Incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Witt, Buck with the coverage. Single wing formation. Lube from the shotgun. Lube sets up in the pocket. Lube checks down to Herman. Incomplete. Lube to Herman, incomplete. Single wing formation. The give to Lube. He throws to Wemple. Incomplete. Lube to Wemple, incomplete, Murka on the coverage. Third and 10 at the 19. Single wing formation. Lube is back to pass. Short slant to Donnelly. Incomplete. Lube throws incomplete to Donnelly, Murka on the coverage. Hogue back in punt formation. "45-yard punt by Hogue, 10-yard return by Patterson. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Witt hands to Witt. Witt on the carry, no gain, Hamilton on the tackle. Single wing formation. Witt hands to Graham. Graham with a 3-yard run, Zimmerman with the tackle. Third and 7 from the 49. Single wing formation. Patterson fades back to pass. He passes to Boyd. Complete. Patterson passes to Boyd. Gain of 18. Lube on the tackle. First down. Single wing formation. Witt hands to Merca. Merca lost one on the play. Neal with the tackle. Single wing formation. Witt gives to Llewellyn. Llewellyn on the carry, gain of 1, Wemple on the stop. Third and 10 at the 33. Single wing formation. Patterson fades back to pass. Patterson checks down to Llewellyn, incomplete. Patterson with the pass to Llewellyn, incomplete. Herman on the coverage. Fourth and 10 from the 33. Single wing formation. Hand off to Patterson. He throws to Wimpy. Incomplete. Patterson to Wimpy, incomplete. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Hand off to Lube. He throws to Herman. Complete. Lube completes the pass to Herman, 11-yard gain, Nelson on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 44. Single wing formation. Hand off to Lube. He throws to Wilson. Complete. Lube to Wilson, gain of 13, Aiken on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Lube at the line. Herman with the hand off. Herman with the carry, gain of 1, Lummis on the tackle. Second and 9 at the 42. Single wing formation. Hand off to Lube. He throws to Hogue. Incomplete. Lube with the pass to Hogue, incomplete. Leiter on the coverage. Third and 9 from the 42. Single wing formation. Lube calls the signals. Lube fades back to pass. Lube will have to run. Lube on the carry, gain of 10, Merca on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Lube sets up in the pocket. Short out to Herman. Incomplete. Lube passes to Herman, incomplete. Nelson on the coverage. Single wing formation. Hand off to Lube. Lube checks down to Wemple, complete. Lube with the pass to Wemple, touchdown Colgate. Hogue will try the point after. Hogue makes the extra point, Colgate 7, Baylor 0. Here's the kick from Scoville. The kick from Scoville is returned 22 yards by Leiter, Kazuria with the tackle.
Holding, receiving team.
First and 10 from the 15. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Patterson calls the signals. Witt gives to Witt. 1-yard run by Witt, Buck on the tackle. Second and 9 from the 16. Single wing formation. Patterson barks out the signals. Hand off to Llewellyn. Llewellyn on the carry, gain of 1, Donnelly on the tackle. 3rd and 8 from the 17. Single wing formation. Patterson drops back to pass. Patterson will run. Patterson with a 3-yard run, Neal with the tackle. Boyd back to punt. "48-yard punt by Boyd, return of 9 by Hogue. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Wilson hands to Hogue. Hogue with a 3-yard run, Wimpy on the tackle. Second and 7 from the 44. Single wing formation. Hand off to Hogue. He dumps it to Donnelly. Incomplete. Hogue throws incomplete to Donnelly, Witt on the coverage. Third and 7 from the 44. Single wing formation. Draw to Herman. Herman on the draw, loss of 4, Wimpy on the tackle. Hogue back in punt formation. "43-yard punt by Hogue, return of 9 by Patterson. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Patterson at the line. Patterson back to pass. Patterson is off and running. Patterson with the carry, gain of 2, Hamilton on the tackle. Single wing formation. Patterson fades back to pass. Patterson will run. Patterson with an 8-yard run, Lube with the tackle, first down. Patterson brings them to the line. Single wing formation. Give to Patterson. He throws to Witt. Complete. Patterson completes the pass to Witt, gain of 11, Buck on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Murka with the handoff. Murka the ball carrier, gain of 1, Scoville on the tackle. Single wing formation. The give to Patterson. He throws to Murka. Complete. Patterson to Murka, gain of 13, Scoville on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Llewellyn takes the handoff. Llewellyn the ball carrier, gain of 1, Hamilton on the tackle. Second and 9 from the 38. Single wing formation. Witt pitches right to Murka. Murka with the carry, gain of 4, Buck on the tackle. Third and 5 at the 34. Single wing formation. Patterson calling signals. Fades back to pass. Short cross. Incomplete. Patterson passes to Lummis, incomplete, Hogue with the coverage. Baylor trailing by 7. 4th and 5 at the 34. 1:06 to go in the first. Single wing formation. Patterson fades back to pass. Short slant to Boyd. Complete. Patterson completes the pass to Boyd, touchdown Baylor. Nelson will try the point after. Nelson missed the extra point, Colgate 7, Baylor 6. Here's the kick from Nelson. The kick from Nelson is returned 30 yards by Herman, Williams on the tackle. Single wing formation. Lube in the shotgun. Wilson hands to Hogue. Hogue with daylight. Hogue with the carry, gain of 19, Murka on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Lube on the carry, no gain, Aiken on the tackle. End of the first quarter, Colgate 7, Baylor 6. Second and 10 from the 37. Single wing formation. Lube drops back to pass. Medium outside pass to Wemple. Incomplete. Lube to Wemple, incomplete, Murka on the coverage. Third and 10. Single wing formation. Hand off to Lube. He throws to Herman. Incomplete. Lube passes to Herman, incomplete, Nelson on the coverage. Hogue from punt formation. "30-yard punt by Hogue, out of bounds. Single wing formation. From the shotgun. Witt with the handoff. 2-yard gain by Witt, Wemple on the tackle. Baylor trailing by 1. Single wing formation. The give to Patterson. He throws to Murka. Complete. Patterson completes the pass to Murka, gain of 11, Scoville on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Witt tucks it under. Patterson on the carry, 8-yard gain, Lube on the tackle. Second and 2. Single wing formation. Patterson calls out the signals. The hand off to Murka. Murka with a 1-yard run, Neal on the tackle. Third and 1 at the 29. Single wing formation. Witt gives to Murka. Murka on the carry, gain of 1, Lube on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Colgate jumped. Possible free play for Patterson. The hand off to Witt. Witt on the carry, gain of 8, flag on the field.
Encroachment, defense. 5-yard penalty.
Second and 2 at the 38. Single wing formation. Witt gives to Llewellyn. Llewellyn on the carry, gain of 1, Donnelly on the tackle. Third and 1 at the 39. Single wing formation. Patterson barks out the signals. Witt gives to Murka. 1-yard gain by Murka, Neal on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Patterson calls out the signals. Transfers control to Murka. 2-yard run by Murka, Scoville on the tackle. Second and 8 from the 42. Single wing formation. The give to Patterson. He throws to Boyd. Complete. Patterson completes the pass to Boyd, gain of 9, Hogue on the stop, first down. First and 10 from the 49. Single wing formation. Current drive, 10 plays, 44 yards. 3:53 off the clock. Mirka with the hand off. Mirka with a gain of 9 on the play, Lube on the tackle. Second and 1. Single wing formation. Witt with the hand off. Witt on the carry, gain of 1, Lube with the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 39. Single wing formation. Current drive, 12 plays, 54 yards. 4:49 off the clock. Give to Patterson. He throws to Wimpy. Complete. Patterson completes the pass to Wimpy, gain of 13, Lube on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Witt behind center. Witt on the draw. Witt on the draw, no gain, Scoville on the tackle. Second and 10. Single wing formation. Current drive, 14 plays, 67 yards. 5:37 off the clock. Patterson sets up in the pocket. Patterson will run. Patterson gets to the second level. 13-yard run by Patterson, Buck on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Llewellyn with the hand off. Llewellyn on the carry, no gain, Hamilton with the tackle. Single wing formation. Current drive, 16 plays, 80 yards. They've used 6:38 on the clock. The give to Llewellyn. Llewellyn with the carry, gain of 2, Zimmerman on the tackle. Third and 8 at the 11. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Patterson with a gain of 10 on the play, Scoville with the tackle, first down. First and goal at the 1. Single wing formation. Goal line defense. Mirka with the hand off. 1-yard gain by Mirka, Scoville with the tackle. Single wing formation. Goal line defense. Wearing out the defense. Give to Patterson. Wemple brings him down. Patterson is sacked by Wemple, loss of 13. Third and goal at the 13. Single wing formation. Give to Patterson. He throws to Llewellyn. Incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Llewellyn. 30-yard attempt for Nelson. Boyd to hold. This will give them the lead. Nelson with the snap. Nelson missed the 30-yard kick. First and 10. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Wilson gives to Hogue. Hogue with a gain of 1 on the play, Black on the stop. Single wing formation. Lube drops back to pass. Medium hitch to Herman. Complete. Lube completes the pass to Herman, gain of 35, Nelson on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Lube yelling out the signals. Hand off to Lube. He throws to Herman. Incomplete. Lube throws incomplete to Herman, Nelson on the coverage. Second and 10 from the 44. Single wing formation. Wilson pitches left to Herman. Herman on the pitch, gain of 2, Boyd on the tackle. Third and 8. Single wing formation. Lube calling signals. He fades back to pass. Medium cross to Wemple. Complete. Move to Wemple, touchdown Colgate. Hogue will try the point after. Hogue converts the extra point, Colgate 14, Baylor 6. Here's the kick from Scoville. The kick from Scoville is returned 20 yards by Patterson, Kazuria on the tackle. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Bootleg. Patterson with the carry, no gain, Wemple on the tackle. Single wing formation. Patterson fades back to pass. Patterson passes to Boyd, complete. Patterson to Boyd, gain of 17, Hogue on the stop, first down. First and 10 from the 46. Single wing formation. Baylor in a hurry up. Bootleg. 12-yard gain by Patterson, Lube on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Hurry up. Witt gives to Merca. Merca the ball carrier, no gain, Donnelly on the stop. Second and 10 from the 34. Single wing formation. Hurry up offense. Patterson calls out the signals. Patterson fades back to pass. False. Big hole. Patterson with a gain of 13 on the play, Scoville with the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Baylor in a hurry up. And off to Witt. Witt lost 4 on the play, Donnelly on the tackle. Single wing formation. Baylor in a hurry up. Patterson fades back to pass. Medium outside pass to Wimpy. Incomplete. Patterson to Wimpy, incomplete, Lube on the coverage. Third and 14 at the 25. Single wing formation. Transfers control to Patterson. He throws to Witt. Incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Witt, Buck with the coverage. Fourth and 14 at the 25. Single wing formation. Patterson fades back to pass. Medium out. Incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Wimpy. Flag on the play.
Personal foul. Defense. Number 51. Automatic. First down.
Baylor trailing by 8. Single wing formation. And off to Merca. Merca lost 4 on the play, Buck on the tackle. Second and 14 from the 16. Single wing formation. Patterson calls the signals. 9-play 47-yard drive. 2:50 off the clock. Patterson sets up in the pocket. Patterson tucks it under. Patterson on the carry, 7-yard gain, Neal on the tackle. Third and 7 from the 9. Single wing formation. Patterson fades back to pass. Patterson will run. Patterson with a gain of 5 on the play, Lube on the tackle. 21-yard kick for Nelson. Boyd to hold. The snap from Nelson. Nelson is good from 21, Colgate 14, Baylor 9. Here's the kick from Nelson. The kick from Nelson is returned 39 yards by Herman, rumbles on the tackle. Single wing formation. Lube from the shotgun. Lube fades back to pass. Lube will run. As daylight. Lube on the carry, gain of 16, Murta on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Lube sets up in the pocket. Medium sideline pass to Wilson, incomplete. Lube throws incomplete to Wilson, Aiken on the coverage. Second and 10 from the 35. Single wing formation. Lube barks out the signals. Lube fades back to pass. Lube will run. Lube with the carry, gain of 1, Wimpy on the tackle, end of the first half, Colgate 14. Here's the kick from Nelson. The kick from Nelson is returned 34 yards by Herman, Foster with the tackle.
Holding, receiving team.
Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Herman with the handoff. Herman on the carry, gain of 2, Lummis on the tackle. Lube brings them to the line. Second and 8 from the 17. Single wing formation. Hogue takes the handoff. Hogue on the carry, no gain, Wimpy on the tackle. Third and 8. Single wing formation. Hogue on the draw. Hogue with a gain of 3 on the play, Murta on the tackle. Hogue deep in punt formation. "44-yard punt by Hogue, return of 15 by Patterson. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Lulan with the handoff. Lulan with the carry, gain of 1, Donnelly with the tackle. Single wing formation. Hand off to Murta. Murta on the carry, 2-yard gain, Wemple with the tackle. Third and 7. Single wing formation. Patterson calls the signals. Drops back to pass. Short cross. Incomplete. Patterson passes to Wimpy, incomplete, Lube on the coverage. Boyd back in punt formation. Lube waiting inside his own 10. "41-yard punt by Boyd, no return. First and 10 at the 5. Single wing formation. Lube from the shotgun. Lube at the line. Lube sets up in the pocket. False. Lube on the carry, 1-yard gain, Lummis with the tackle. Single wing formation. Wilson hands to Wilson. Wilson on the carry, gain of 2, Edwards on the tackle. Third and 7. Single wing formation. Lube drops back to pass. He dumps it to Hogue. Incomplete. Lube to Hogue. Incomplete. Hogue back in punt formation. From his own end zone. "38-yard punt by Hogue. Return of 10 by Patterson. Single wing formation. Patterson in the shotgun. Llewellyn takes the handoff. Llewellyn with a gain of 1 on the play, Wemple on the tackle. Single wing formation. Pitch right to Llewellyn. Llewellyn on the pitch, no gain, Donnelly with the tackle. Third and 9 from the 35. Single wing formation. Patterson at the line. Hand off to Patterson. He throws to Witt. Complete. Patterson to Witt, gain of 14, penalty on the play.
Offsides, defense. Number 43, 5-yard penalty.
Single wing formation. Witt running. 2-yard gain by Patterson, Hamilton with the tackle. Second and 8 from the 19. Single wing formation. Witt gives to Witt. With the ball carrier, gain of 1, Donnelly on the tackle. Third and 7 from the 18. Single wing formation. Give to Patterson. He throws to Witt. He dropped it. Patterson throws incomplete to Witt, Buck on the coverage. 35-yard kick for Nelson. Boyd to hold. The snap from Nelson. Nelson missed the 35-yard field goal. Single wing formation. From the shotgun. Pitch left to Herman. Herman on the carry, loss of 4, Boyd on the stop. Single wing formation. Lube fades back to pass. False. Lube on the carry, gain of 5, Murta on the tackle. Third and 9 at the 21. Single wing formation. Lube at the line. Drops back to pass. Medium sideline pass to Wemple. Complete. Lube to Wemple, touchdown Colgate. Hogue will try the point after. Hogue makes the extra point, Colgate 21, Baylor 9. Here's the kick from Scoville. The kick from Scoville is returned 28 yards by Patterson, Coley on the tackle.
Illegal block. Receiving team, 15-yard penalty.
First and 10 from the 24. Single wing formation. Patterson from the shotgun. Someone jumped. Possible free play for Patterson. Bootleg. Patterson on the carry, no gain, penalty on the play.
Encroachment, defense. Number 98, 5-yard penalty.
First and 5 at the 29. Single wing formation. Witt gives to Llewellyn. Llewellyn with the carry, gain of 1, Lube on the tackle. Single wing formation. Murka with the hand off. Murka on the carry, gain of 1, Wemple on the tackle. Third and 3 from the 31. 5:44 in the third. Single wing formation. Patterson fades back to pass. Short hitch to Boyd. Incomplete. Patterson with the pass to Boyd, incomplete, Hogue on the coverage. Boyd back in punt formation. "48-yard punt by Boyd, return of 7 by Lou."
Holding, receiving team.
First and 10 at the 13. Single wing formation. From the shotgun. Lube calling signals. Wilson hands to Hogue. Hogue lost 1 on the play, Black on the tackle. Second and 11 from the 12. Single wing formation. And off to Wilson. Wilson on the sweep, 3-yard gain, Boyd on the tackle. Third and 8. Single wing formation. Lube sets up in the pocket. False. 4-yard gain by Lube, Edwards on the stop. Hogue deep in punt formation. "39-yard punt by Hogue, return of 12 by Patterson."
Illegal block, receiving team. 15-yard penalty.
Flag on the field.
False start. Offense. Number 59. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
First and 15 from the 27. Single wing formation. Patterson from the shotgun. Witt running. Patterson on the sweep, no gain, Zimmerman with the tackle. Single wing formation. Patterson fades back to pass. Patterson is running with it. Patterson with the carry, gain of 6, Lube on the tackle. Baylor trailing by 12. Third and 9 at the 33. 3 o'clock in the third. Single wing formation. Patterson is back to pass. Medium out to Boyd. Complete. Patterson with the pass to Boyd, gain of 24, Lube on the stop, first down. Single wing formation. And off to Patterson. He throws to Murka. Complete. Patterson to Murka, gain of 26, Lube on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Graham with the ball now. Graham with a gain of 3 on the play, Donnelly on the tackle. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Patterson on the bootleg, no gain, Wemple on the tackle. Third and 7 from the 14. Single wing formation. Witt on the draw. Witt with a gain of 3 on the play, Neal on the tackle. 28-yard attempt for Nelson. Boyd to hold. Nelson with the snap. Nelson missed from 28 yards. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Lube at the line. Lube sets up in the pocket. Lube is running. 1 yard run by Lube, Lummis on the tackle. Single wing formation. The give to Wilson. 2 yard run by Wilson, Edwards on the tackle. End of the third quarter, Colgate 21, Baylor 9. Lube brings them to the line. Red Raiders by 12. 3rd and 7 at the 23. Single wing formation. Lube fades back to pass. Medium slant. Caught by Wemple at the 45. Lube completes the pass to Wemple, gain of 36, Murka on the stop, first down. Single wing formation. Lube at the line. Movement up front. Possible free play for Lube. Hand off to Herman. Herman on the carry, gain of 3, penalty on the play.
Encroachment defense. Number 35, 5-yard penalty.
Single wing formation. Draw to Herman. Herman with a gain of 1 on the play, Marks on the tackle. Single wing formation. The hand off to Herman. Herman on the carry, gain of 1, Wimpy on the tackle. Third and 3 from the 34. Single wing formation. Running right. Big hole. Herman with an 11-yard run, Merkel with the tackle, first down. Colgate by 12. Single wing formation. Wilson gives to Wilson. Wilson on the carry, no gain, Marks on the tackle. Red Raiders leads by 12. 2nd and 10. Single wing formation. Lube is back to pass. Long hitch to Wemple. Complete. Lube completes the pass to Wemple, touchdown Colgate. Hogue will try the point after. The conversion failed, Colgate 27, Baylor 9. Here's the kick from Scoville. The kick from Scoville is returned 19 yards by Patterson, Kazuria on the tackle. Penalty on the play.
False start. Offense. Number 51, 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Single wing formation. Patterson from the shotgun. Patterson at the line. Quick toss to Witt. Witt lost 4 on the play, Hamilton with the tackle. Second and 19. Single wing formation. Patterson fades back to pass. Medium slant. Incomplete. Patterson with the pass to Wimpy, incomplete. Third and 19. Single wing formation. Patterson back to pass. Patterson dumps it to Murka, complete. Patterson passes to Murka, gain of 7, Scoville with the tackle. Boyd back in punt formation. .45-yard punt by Boyd, return of 8 by Lube. Single wing formation. Lube from the shotgun. Bootleg. Lube with a gain of 2 on the play, Edwards with the tackle. Colgate ahead by 18. Single wing formation. Lube working very slowly. Lube calling signals. The hand off to Hogue. Hogue the ball carrier, gain of 2, Wimpy on the tackle. Third and 6 at the 38. Single wing formation. Slow down. Lube at the line. Fades back to pass. Medium cross to Donnelly. He dropped it. Lube throws incomplete to Donnelly. Hogue from punt formation. 39-yard punt by Hogue. Return of 10 by Patterson.
Holding. Receiving team.
Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Patterson at the line. Patterson fades back to pass. Patterson will run. Patterson on the carry, gain of 9, Garvey on the tackle. Single wing formation. Baylor hustling to the line. Patterson calling signals. Witt running. Patterson on the carry, gain of 4, Donnelly with the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Patterson the ball carrier, gain of 8, Lube on the tackle. Second and 2. Single wing formation. Hustling to the line. And off to Patterson. He throws to Wimpy. Incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Wimpy, Lube with the coverage. Third and 2 from the 32. Single wing formation. Witt pitches left to Llewellyn. 2-yard run by Llewellyn, Wemple on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Hurry up offense. Patterson back to pass. Patterson is running. Room for Patterson. Patterson the ball carrier, gain of 25, Lube with the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Hurry up. Patterson barks out the signals. Give to Patterson. Patterson dumps it to Murka. Incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Murka, Scoville with the coverage. Second and 10. Single wing formation. The give to Llewellyn. Llewellyn the ball carrier, no gain, Garvey on the tackle. Third and 10 from the 41. Single wing formation. They're in a hurry up. Current drive, 8 plays, 48 yards. 2:12 off the clock. And off to Witt. He throws downfield to Wimpy, incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Wimpy, Lube on the coverage. Fourth and 10 from the 41. Single wing formation. Patterson drops back to pass. Medium crossing pass to Wimpy. Incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Wimpy, Lube on the coverage. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Lube calls the signals. Give to Herman. Herman on the carry, no gain, Boyd on the tackle. Second and 10. Single wing formation. Colgate working slowly. Lube fades back to pass. Medium cross to Wemple. He's got it. Lube completes the pass to Wemple, gain of 30, Murka on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Slow down offense. Lube gives to Wilson. Wimpy sacks him. Lube is sacked by Wimpy, loss of 7. Second and 17. Single wing formation. Lube working very slowly. Lube calls the signals. And off to Wilson. Wilson with the carry, no gain, marks on the tackle. Third and 17 from the 36. Single wing formation. Lube taking his time. He fades back to pass. Pass to Donnelly. Incomplete. Lube throws incomplete to Donnelly, Witt with the coverage. Hogue deep in punt formation. A 33-yard punt by Hogue, out of bounds. First and 10. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Patterson drops back to pass. Medium curl. He dropped it. Patterson to Wimpy, incomplete, Lube on the coverage. Second and 10. Single wing formation. Patterson at the line. Patterson sets up in the pocket. False. Patterson the ball carrier, 10-yard gain, Lube with the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Baylor hustling to the line. Patterson drops back to pass. Patterson is running. Patterson the ball carrier, gain of 7, Garvey on the tackle. Second and 3. Single wing formation. Baylor hustling to the line. Patterson calling signals. Drops back to pass. Medium hitch. Caught by Wimpy at the 40. Patterson completes the pass to Wimpy, 22-yard gain, Lube on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Baylor hustling to the line. Give to Patterson. He throws to Llewellyn. Incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Llewellyn, Herman on the coverage. Baylor trailing by 18. Second and 10 from the 42. Single wing formation. Patterson drops back to pass. Short out pass to Boyd. Incomplete. Patterson to Boyd, incomplete, Hogue on the coverage. Third and 10 from the 42. Single wing formation. Patterson fades back to pass. Medium cross to Boyd. He dropped it. Patterson throws incomplete to Boyd, Hogue on the coverage. Baylor trailing by 18. Fourth and 10 from the 42. 2:41 in the fourth. Single wing formation. Patterson fades back to pass. Medium out to Lummis. Complete. Patterson passes to Lummis, 23-yard gain, Lube on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Patterson calling signals. Current drive, 8 plays, 62 yards. 1:46 off the clock. Patterson fades back to pass. Patterson throws underneath to Murka. Incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Murka. Single wing formation. The give to Patterson. He throws to Murka. Complete. Patterson completes the pass to Murka, gain of 9, Scoville on the tackle. Third and 1 at the 26. Single wing formation. Hurry up offense. Patterson fades back to pass. Short out to Boyd, complete. Patterson passes to Boyd, gain of 8, Hogue on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 18. 2:08 left in the fourth. Single wing formation. Patterson back to pass. Long outside pass. Incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Boyd, Hogue on the coverage. Baylor down 18. Single wing formation. Patterson drops back to pass. Patterson dumps it to Wimpy. Incomplete. Patterson passes to Wimpy, incomplete, Lube on the coverage. Third and 10 from the 18. Single wing formation. Patterson calls out the signals. Fades back to pass. Patterson dumps it to Llewellyn. He's got it. Patterson completes the pass to Llewellyn. Gain of 8, Wilson on the tackle. Fourth and 2 from the 10. Single wing formation. Patterson at the line. Current drive, 14 plays, 87 yards. They've used 2:33 on the clock. Patterson back to pass. Throws to Boyd's back shoulder. Incomplete. Patterson to Boyd, incomplete, Hogue on the coverage. Lube brings them to the line. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Wilson hands to Herman. Herman on the carry, no gain, Boyd on the tackle. Second and 10. Single wing formation. Colgate working slowly. Lube calls the signals. Wilson gives to Hogue. Hogue lost one on the play, Boyd with the tackle. Wilson will take a knee. Wilson takes a knee. First and goal from the 7. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Patterson calls out the signals. He fades back to pass. Short out to Boyd. Patterson throws incomplete to Boyd, Johnson on the coverage. Baylor trailing by 18. Second and goal. Single wing formation. Hand off to Patterson. Patterson throws to Llewellyn. Incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Llewellyn, Herman with the coverage. Patterson brings them to the line. Third and goal. Single wing formation. Patterson calls the signals. Fades back to pass. Short out pass to Wimpy. Incomplete. Patterson throws incomplete to Wimpy, Colgate 27, Baylor 9. Welcome to Sun Devil Stadium. Duke against Yale. For this Action PC playoff game. Waits boots it. The kick from Waits is returned 22 yards by Humphrey, Wick on the stop. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Humphrey fades back to pass. Long slant. Incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Moody. Second and 10. Single wing formation. Humphrey calls out the signals. The give to Humphrey. He throws to Wilson. Complete. Humphrey completes the pass to Wilson, gain of 15, Holm with the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 47. Single wing formation. Humphrey at the line. Transfers control to Humphrey. Humphrey throws underneath to Collins, incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Collins, Boschi with the coverage. Second and 10. Single wing formation. Collins takes the handoff. Collins with a gain of 1 on the play, Boschi on the tackle. Third and 9. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. False. Humphrey on the carry, gain of 6, Warren on the tackle. Miller back in punt formation. Mosley standing inside his own 10. "25-yard punt by Miller, out of bounds. First and 10 at the 15. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Mosley calling signals. Hand off to Mosley. He throws to Warren. Wilson picked it at the 29. Mosley is intercepted by Wilson, return of 22. First and goal. Single wing formation. Humphrey in the shotgun. Wilson takes the handoff. Wilson with the carry, no gain, Blackwell on the stop. Single wing formation. Humphrey barks out the signals. Gives to Wilson. Wilson on the sweep, touchdown Yale. Miller, Jay will try the point after. The kick by Miller is good, Yale 7, Duke 0. Humphrey to kick off. The kick from Humphrey is returned 27 yards by Siemens, Dills on the tackle. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Boswell running. Mosley with the carry, 5-yard gain, Dias on the tackle. Second and 5. Single wing formation. Hand off to Mosley. He throws to Davis. Complete. Mosley completes the pass to Davis, gain of 11, Burnham on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 40. Single wing formation. The give to Holm. Holm on the carry, 1-yard gain, Zilli on the tackle. Single wing formation. Mosley at the line. Pitch left to Holm. Holm on the pitch, no gain, Dias on the tackle. Third and 9 from the 39. Single wing formation. The snap is fumbled. Fumble. Mosley on the carry, loss of 4, fumble recovered by Cox, Duke maintains possession. Hughes back in punt formation. Wilson waiting inside his own 10. "24-yard punt by Hughes, out of bounds. Single wing formation. Humphrey in the shotgun. Humphrey calls out the signals. And off to Wilson. Wilson running room. Wilson on the carry, gain of 37, Holm with the tackle, first down. Penalty on the play.
False start. Offense. Number 48, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Single wing formation. And off to Humphrey. He throws to Dias. He dropped it. Humphrey throws incomplete to Dias, Boswell on the coverage. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Humphrey throws downfield to Collins, incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Collins, Boschi on the coverage. Third and 15 from the 49. Single wing formation. Humphrey back to pass. Humphrey fires downfield to Wilson, complete. Humphrey passes to Wilson, gain of 24, Holm on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Humphrey back to pass. Medium hitch to Wilson. Incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Wilson, Holm on the coverage. Second and 10 from the 25. Single wing formation. Humphrey barks out the signals. Back to pass. Medium hitch to Dias. Caught. Humphrey completes the pass to Dias, touchdown Yale. Miller, Jay will try the point after. The kick by Miller is good, Yale 14, Duke 0. Here's the kick from Humphrey. The kick from Humphrey is returned 21 yards by Mosley, Dills on the stop. Single wing formation. Boswell behind center. Shotgun formation. Medium hitch to Davis. Incomplete. Boswell throws incomplete to Davis. Second and 10. Single wing formation. Give to Mosley. He throws to Holm. Complete. Mosley completes the pass to Holm, gain of 14, Platt on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Mosley on the carry, gain of 8, Platt with the tackle. Second and 2. Single wing formation. Boswell shovels it to Davis. 1-yard run by Davis, Brooks on the tackle. Third and 1 from the 40. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Mosley on the bootleg, no gain, Burnham on the tackle. Fourth and 1. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Mosley is off and running. Mosley with a 4-yard run, Dias with the tackle, first down. First and 10. Single wing formation. Mosley barks out the signals. Mosley fades back to pass. False. Mosley with the carry, gain of 3, John on the stop. Single wing formation. Boswell on the run. Mosley the ball carrier, loss of 3, Brooks on the stop. Third and 10 from the 36. Single wing formation. Mosley drops back to pass. Medium hitch to Blackwell. Complete. Mosley with the pass to Blackwell, touchdown due. Bradford will try the point after. The conversion failed, Yale 14, Duke 6. Here's the kick from Waits. The kick from Waits is returned 38 yards by Miller, Hughes with the tackle. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Humphrey fades back to pass. Medium hitch to Moody. Complete. Humphrey completes the pass to Moody, 22-yard gain, Zivik on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Humphrey calls the signals. Burr gives to Collins. Collins with a 1-yard run, Borders on the tackle. Second and 9. Single wing formation. Burr drops back to pass. Burr is off and running. Burr on the carry, 2-yard gain, Shoemaker on the tackle. Third and 7. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Humphrey checks down to Collins, incomplete. Humphrey passes to Collins, incomplete, Boschi with the coverage. Fourth and 7 at the 20. Single wing formation. And off to Humphrey. He throws to Wilson. Incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Wilson, Holm on the coverage. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. The hand off to Davis. Davis on the sweep, 1-yard gain, Moody on the tackle. Single wing formation. The hand off to Holm. 2-yard gain by Holm, Zilli with the tackle. Third and 7 from the 23. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Mosley will run. Mosley with a gain of 7 on the play, Dias on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Boswell behind center. Medium hitch. Incomplete. Boswell with the pass to Davis, incomplete, Burnham on the coverage. Single wing formation. And off to Mosley. He throws to Holm, Complete. Mosley passes to Holm, 16-yard gain, Wilson on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Boswell with the handoff. Boswell on the carry, no gain, Dias on the tackle. Second and 10 from the 46. Single wing formation. The give to Mosley. He throws to Davis. Complete. Mosley passes to Davis, gain of 16, Wilson on the tackle, first down. First and 10. Single wing formation. Mosley at the line. Boswell running. Mosley on the carry, no gain, Zilly with the tackle. Second and 10 from the 38. Single wing formation. 8-play 42-yard drive. They've used 3:24 on the clock. Boswell running. Mosley on the sweep, no gain, Platt on the tackle. Third and 10 from the 38. Single wing formation. Hand off to Boswell. Mosley throws to Bradford. Mosley is intercepted by Anderson, return of 0. Single wing formation. Humphrey from the shotgun. Humphrey barks out the signals. Give to Humphrey. He throws to Collins. Incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Collins, Boschi on the coverage, end of the first quarter, Yale 14, Duke 6. Second and 10 from the 31. Single wing formation. He's running right. Burr on the pitch, gain of 5, Wood on the tackle. Third and 5 from the 36. Single wing formation. Hand off to Humphrey. Humphrey dumps it to Wilson. Incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Wilson, Holm on the coverage. Miller back in punt formation. "36-yard punt by Miller, return of 9 by Boswell. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Pitch left to Boswell. Boswell on the carry, loss of 4, Dias on the tackle. Second and 14 from the 33. Single wing formation. Hand off to Boswell. He throws to Blackwell, he dropped it. Boswell passes to Blackwell, incomplete, Anderson on the coverage. Third and 14 from the 33. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Mosley will run. Mosley with a gain of 3 on the play, Zilly on the stop. Hughes back in punt formation. "33-yard punt by Hughes, return of 10 by Wilson. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Medium slant to Moody. Complete. Humphrey completes the pass to Moody, gain of 29, Bostic with the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Humphrey calls out the signals. Burr shovels it to Wilson. Wilson on the carry, gain of 1, Boschi with the tackle. Single wing formation. Burr behind center. Burr on the draw. Burr on the draw, no gain, Borders on the stop. Third and 9. Single wing formation. Humphrey drops back to pass. Fauci sacks him. Humphrey is sacked by Fauci, loss of 8. Miller deep in punt formation. "34-yard punt by Miller, no return." First and 10. Single wing formation. Mosley from the shotgun. Give to Mosley. He throws to Boswell. He dropped it. Mosley to Boswell, incomplete, Collins on the coverage. Single wing formation. Mosley at the line. Hand off to Boswell. He throws to Hold. He dropped it. Boswell throws incomplete to Hold, Platt on the coverage. Duke down by 8. Third and 10. Single wing formation. Boswell behind center. Boswell running. Boswell gains 3 on the sweep, Platt on the tackle. Hughes from punt formation. From his own end zone. "40-yard punt by Hughes, return of 10 by Wilson." Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Give to Humphrey. He throws to Wilson. Incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Wilson. Second and 10. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Medium crossing pattern to Dias, complete. Humphrey with the pass to Dias, gain a penalty on the play.
Illegal motion, offense. Number 27, 5-yard penalty.
Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Long cross. He dropped it. Humphrey throws incomplete to Dias. Third and 15 from the 41. Single wing formation. Humphrey calling signals. Hand off to Humphrey. He throws underneath to Dias. Incomplete. Humphrey to Dias, incomplete. Miller will punt. Mosley waiting inside his own 10. "37-yard punt by Miller, out of bounds." Duke trailing by 8. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Boswell running. Mosley gains 12 on the sweep, Wilson with the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Boswell gives to Boswell. Boswell on the carry, no gain, John with the tackle. Single wing formation. Mosley at the line. Hand off to Mosley. He throws to Warren, diving catch. Mosley completes the pass to Warren, gain of 11, Wilson on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. The give to Mosley. He throws to Davis. Incomplete. Mosley throws incomplete to Davis, Burnham on the coverage. Duke trailing by 8. Single wing formation. Boswell behind center. Boswell tucks it under. Boswell on the sweep, loss of 3, flat on the tackle. Third and 13 from the 24. Single wing formation. Mosley calling signals. Mosley fades back to pass. Mosley will run. Room to run. Mosley on the carry, gain of 13, Wilson on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Boswell gives to Holm. Holm on the carry, no gain, penalty on the play.
Holding, offense. Number 31, 10-yard penalty.
First and 20 at the 27. Single wing formation. Mosley calling signals. Davis on the draw. Davis lost 4 on the play, Wilson on the tackle. Second and 24 at the 23. Single wing formation. Boswell is back to pass. Boswell is running. Running room. Boswell on the carry, gain of 12, Wilson with the tackle. Third and 12 from the 35. Single wing formation. Mosley calls out the signals. He fades back to pass. Short pass to Warren, incomplete. Mosley to Warren, incomplete, Wilson on the coverage. Hughes back in punt formation. "35-yard punt by Hughes, return of 17 by Wilson. Yale up 8. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Humphrey fades back to pass. Short out pass to Moody, complete. Humphrey completes the pass to Moody, 11-yard gain, Zivic with the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Humphrey sets up in the pocket. Humphrey is running. Humphrey with a gain of 2 on the play, Borders on the tackle. Single wing formation. Hand off to Burr. Burr to Wilson. Incomplete. Burr to Wilson, incomplete, Holm with the coverage. Third and 8 at the 40. Single wing formation. Humphrey at the line. The give to Humphrey. He throws to Collins. Incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Collins, Boschi on the coverage. Miller deep in punt formation. Mosley waiting inside his own 10. "25-yard punt by Miller, out of bounds. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Mosley barks out the signals. High snap. Fumble. Mosley on the carry, loss of 10, fumble recovered by Mosley, Duke maintains possession. Second and 20 from the 5. Single wing formation. Mosley calling signals. Hand off to Boswell. He throws to Holm, incomplete. Boswell throws incomplete to Holm. 3rd and 20. Single wing formation. Mosley at the line. Hand off to Mosley. He throws to Holm. Complete. Mosley completes the pass to Holm, gain of 11, Platt on the tackle. Hughes back in punt formation. "31-yard punt by Hughes, return of 7 by Wilson. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Humphrey calling the signals. Fades back to pass. Medium cross to Dias. Complete. Humphrey completes the pass to Dias, gain of 23, Boswell on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Humphrey sets to throw. He dumps it to Collins. Incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Collins, Boschi on the coverage. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. False. Humphrey with a 2-yard run, Shoemaker on the tackle. Third and 8. Single wing formation. Humphrey at the line. He fades back to pass. He throws to Collins. Incomplete. Humphrey to Collins, incomplete, Boschi with the coverage. 32-yard attempt for Humphrey. Fur to hold. Good snap from center. The snap from Platt. Humphrey missed from 32 yards. Single wing formation. Mosley in the shotgun. Shovels it to Mosley. He throws to Warren. He makes the grab. Mosley completes the pass to Warren, gain of 12, Wilson on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. They're in a hurry up. Mosley barks out the signals. Bootleg. 3-yard run by Mosley, Moody on the tackle. Single wing formation. Give to Mosley. He throws to Holm. Complete. Mosley completes the pass to Holm, gain of 13, Platt on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. They're in a hurry up. Pitch left to Holm. Holm the ball carrier, gain of 2, Zilli on the tackle. Second and 8 at the 50. Single wing formation. Duke in a hurry up. Mosley drops back to pass. Short outside pass to Warren. Incomplete. Mosley throws incomplete to Warren. Third and 8 from the 50. Single wing formation. Hand off to Mosley. He throws to Boswell. Incomplete. Mosley throws incomplete to Boswell, Collins on the coverage. Hughes back in punt formation. Wilson waiting inside his own 10. "39-yard punt by Hughes, out of bounds. First and 10. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Humphrey at the line. Burr pitches left to Wilson. Wilson on the pitch, no gain, Warren on the tackle. Second and 10 from the 11. Single wing formation. Humphrey sets to throw. Hold down by Warren. Humphrey is sacked by Warren, Loss of 8. Third and 18. Single wing formation. Humphrey drops back to pass. Humphrey will have to run. 1 yard run by Humphrey, Warren on the tackle. Miller from punt formation. From the back of the end zone. A 36-yard punt by Miller, out of bounds. First and 10 from the 40. Single wing formation. From the shotgun. Bootleg. Mosley with a gain of 5 on the play, Wilson on the tackle. Second and 5 from the 35. Single wing formation. Duke hustling to the line. Boswell with the give to Boswell. Boswell with a 2-yard run, John with the tackle. Third and 3 from the 33. Single wing formation. Duke in a hurry up. Mosley drops back to pass. Short out to Bradford. Incomplete. Mosley throws incomplete to Bradford, Burnham on the coverage. Fourth and 3 from the 33. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Mosley dumps it to Holm, he dropped it. Mosley to Holm, incomplete, Platt on the coverage. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Humphrey at the line. He fades back to pass. Short slant. Moody with the catch at the 42. Humphrey completes the pass to Moody, gain of 9, Zivik on the tackle. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Short out pass to Moody. Complete. Humphrey with the pass to Moody, gain of 8, Zivik on the tackle, first down, end of the first half. Here's the kick from Humphrey. The kick from Humphrey is returned 19 yards by Mosley, Dills on the tackle. First and 10 from the 29. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Boswell gives to Davis. 2-yard gain by Davis, John on the tackle. Single wing formation. Boswell hands to Davis. 1-yard gain by Davis, Brooks on the tackle. Third and 7 from the 32. Single wing formation. The give to Davis. Davis gains 4 on the sweep, Dias with the tackle. Hughes will kick it away. A 26-yard punt by Hughes, no return. Single wing formation. Humphrey in the shotgun. Collins takes the handoff. Collins the ball carrier, no gain, Merrill on the tackle. Single wing formation. Burr with the handoff. 5-yard run by Burr, Shoemaker on the tackle. Third and 5. Single wing formation. Humphrey back to pass. Short into Dias. Complete. Humphrey completes the pass to Dias, 29-yard gain, Holm on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Short curl. Incomplete. Humphrey passes to Dias, incomplete, Boswell on the coverage. Yale breaks the huddle. Single wing formation. Burr behind center. Burr dumps it to Collins. Incomplete. Burr throws incomplete to Collins, Boschi on the coverage. Third and 10. Single wing formation. Humphrey calls out the signals. He fades back to pass. Humphrey dumps it to Collins, he makes the catch. Humphrey to Collins, gain of 4, Boschi on the tackle. Fourth and 6 from the 24. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Short hitch to Wilson, tipped by Holm at the 15. Humphrey is intercepted by Holm, return of 0. Duke trailing by 8. Single wing formation. Mosley from the shotgun. Boswell hands to Davis. Davis on the carry, no gain, Stack on the tackle. Second and 10 at the 15. Single wing formation. Give to Mosley. He throws to Warren. He's got it. Mosley to Warren, gain of 12, Wilson on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Boswell hands to Davis. With daylight. 12-yard run by Davis, first down. Penalty on the play.
False start. Offense. Number 31, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
First and 15. 9:38 left in the third. Single wing formation. Boswell running. Mosley gains 5 on the sweep, Dias on the tackle. Second and 10 from the 39. Single wing formation. Mosley drops back to pass. False. Wide open field. 13-yard gain by Mosley, Wilson with the tackle, first down. First and 10 at the 48. Single wing formation. Boswell on the run. Mosley gains 6 on the sweep, John with the tackle. Single wing formation. Boswell on the run. Mosley on the sweep, gain of 6, Moody on the tackle, first down. Duke down 8. Single wing formation. Boswell gives to Holm. Holm on the carry, flag on the play.
Offsetting penalties. Repeat, first down.
Single wing formation. Boswell gives to Boswell. 3-yard gain by Boswell, Moody with the tackle. Single wing formation. Hand off to Bradford. Bradford with a gain of 4 on the play, Moody on the tackle. Third and 3 at the 29. Single wing formation. Hand off to Boswell. He throws to Davis, he dropped it. Boswell to Davis, incomplete, Burnham on the coverage.
Personal foul, offense. Number 45, 15-yard penalty.
Fourth and 3 from the 29. Single wing formation. Transfers control to Mosley. Mosley throws to Warren. Incomplete. Mosley throws incomplete to Warren, Wilson on the coverage. Yale up 8. Single wing formation. Burr behind center. Burr from the shotgun. Burr on the draw. Burr on the carry, gain of 3, Holm on the tackle. Single wing formation. Humphrey calling signals. Fades back to pass. Medium slant to Moody. Complete. Humphrey completes the pass to Moody. Penalty on the play.
Holding, offense. Number 36, 10-yard penalty.
Second and 17 at the 22. Single wing formation. Humphrey calling the signals. Hand off to Humphrey. He throws to Collins. Incomplete. Humphrey with the pass to Collins, incomplete. Third and 17 at the 22. Single wing formation. Hand off to Burr. He throws to Dias, incomplete. Burr throws incomplete to Dias, Boswell on the coverage. Miller to punt. "42-yard punt by Miller, return of 9 by Mosley. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Mosley at the line. Holm with the handoff. Holm on the carry, gain of 2, John on the tackle. Single wing formation. Mosley drops back to pass. Mosley tucks it under. Mosley with the carry, gain of 1, Burnham on the tackle. Duke trailing by 8. Third and 7. 4:14 in the third. Single wing formation. Mosley at the line. Boswell with the give to Holm. Holm lost 1 on the play, Zilly on the tackle. Hughes will do the punting. Wilson waiting inside his own 10. "32-yard punt by Hughes, return of 9 by Wilson. Penalty on the play.
Encroachment, defense. Number 31, 5-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
Bulldogs leads by 8. First and 5 at the 35. 3:29 in the third. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Hand off to Wilson. Wilson the ball carrier, gain of 4, Boschi on the tackle. Single wing formation. Hand off to Collins. Collins on the carry, gain of 4, Warren on the stop, first down. Yale breaks the huddle. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Humphrey is off and running. Humphrey with a gain of 2 on the play, Wood on the tackle. Single wing formation. Humphrey back to pass. Humphrey dumps it to Wilson, complete. Humphrey passes to Wilson, gain of 8, Holm on the tackle. Third and inches from the 47. Single wing formation. Burr with the give to Wilson. Wilson on the carry, gain of 1, Blackwell on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Burr hands to Burr. Burr on the sweep, gain of 1, Bostic on the tackle. Bulldogs by 8. Second and 9 from the 45. 0:49 left in the third. Single wing formation. Burr behind center. False. 3-yard gain by Burr, Borders on the tackle. Yale ahead by 8. Third and 6 at the 42. 0:16 in the third. Single wing formation. Humphrey at the line. He fades back to pass. Humphrey throws to Wilson, incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Wilson, Holm with the coverage. Miller back in punt formation. Boswell waiting inside his own 10. A 17-yard punt by Miller, out of bounds. First and 10 from the 25. Single wing formation. Mosley from the shotgun. Boswell hands to Boswell. Boswell on the carry, gain of 1, Moody on the tackle. Single wing formation. Mosley takes a deep drop. Mosley dumps it to Blackwell, complete. Mosley completes the pass to Blackwell, 10-yard gain, Anderson on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Wide open field. Mosley with a 16-yard run, Wilson on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 48. Single wing formation. Bootleg. Has room to run. Mosley on the carry, gain of 22, Wilson on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Mosley is running with it. Blocking in front. Mosley the ball carrier, gain of 15, Burnham on the stop, first down. Single wing formation. Boswell behind center. Boswell barks out the signals. Boswell will have to run. Boswell on the carry, touchdown Duke. The conversion is successful, Duke 14, Yale 14. Waits to kick off. The kick from Waits is returned 35 yards by Whiteman, with on the stop. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Burr gives to Wilson. Wilson the ball carrier, no gain, Borders on the tackle. Second and 10 from the 47. Single wing formation. Humphrey back to pass. Long fly to Moody. Zivic intercepted it at the 18. Humphrey is intercepted by Zivic, return of 0. First and 10 at the 18. Single wing formation. Mosley from the shotgun. Boswell gives to Holm. Holm the ball carrier, gain of 1, Platt with the tackle. Single wing formation. The hand off to Boswell. Boswell with a 1-yard run, stack on the tackle. Third and 8 from the 20. Single wing formation. The give to Mosley. He throws to Warren. Complete. Mosley completes the pass to Warren, gain of 46, Wilson on the tackle, first down. First and 10 from the 34. Single wing formation. Mosley calling signals. The hand off to Boswell. Boswell on the carry, gain of 1, Moody on the tackle. Second and 9 from the 33. Single wing formation. Running right. Room for Boswell. Boswell the ball carrier, gain of 15, Platt on the tackle, first down. First and 10. Single wing formation. Boswell behind center. Boswell on the draw. Boswell on the draw, no gain, Brooks on the stop. Single wing formation. Transfers control to Mosley. He throws to Holm. Complete. Mosley to Holm, touchdown due. Bradford will try the point after. The kick by Bradford is no good, Duke 20, Yale 14. Here's the kick from Waits. The kick from Waits is returned 19 yards by Miller, Beard on the stop. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Give to Burr. He throws to Dias, complete. Burr completes the pass to Dias, gain of 13, Holm on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Burr behind center. Burr on the run. Burr lost 3 on the play, Warren on the tackle. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Medium hitch to Moody. Incomplete. Humphrey to Moody, incomplete, Zivik with the coverage. Third and 13 from the 44. Single wing formation. Humphrey calling signals. Give to Humphrey. He throws to Burr. Complete. Humphrey completes the pass to Burr, gain of 14, Bostic on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Humphrey sets to throw. Short cross. Complete. Humphrey to Dias, gain of 29, Holm on the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Burr hands to Collins. Collins with a gain of 5 on the play, Holm with the tackle. Single wing formation. Humphrey at the line. Give to Humphrey. He throws to Collins. Incomplete. Humphrey to Collins, incomplete, Foshi on the coverage. Third and 5 from the 8. Single wing formation. Humphrey at the line. He fades back to pass. Short hitch. Caught by Dias in the end zone. Humphrey passes to Dias, touchdown Yale. Miller, Jay will try the point after. The kick by Miller is no good. Duke 20, Yale 20. Here's the kick from Humphrey. The kick from Humphrey is returned 24 yards by Holm, Snavely on the tackle. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Mosley at the line. Boswell with the handoff. 2-yard gain by Boswell, Brooks on the tackle. Single wing formation. Mosley calls out the signals. Boswell running. Mosley on the carry, loss of 2, John on the tackle. Third and 10 from the 38. Single wing formation. Hand off to Boswell. He throws to Blackwell, incomplete. Boswell to Blackwell, incomplete. Anderson on the coverage. Hughes back in punt formation. "35-yard punt by Hughes, 14-yard return by Wilson. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Humphrey will run. Humphrey with the carry, 8-yard gain, Holm on the tackle. Single wing formation. Give to Humphrey. He throws to Collins. Incomplete. Humphrey to Collins, incomplete. Tie score. 3rd and 2 at the 49. 3:45 in the fourth. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Medium outside pass to Wilson. Incomplete. Humphrey to Wilson, incomplete. Holm with the coverage. Miller deep in punt formation. Boswell standing inside his own 10. "26-yard punt by Miller, out of bounds. Tie score. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Boswell takes the handoff. 3-yard run by Boswell, Moody with the tackle. Single wing formation. The give to Mosley. Sacked by Moody. Mosley is sacked by Moody, loss of penalty on the play.
Holding offense. Number 37, 10-yard penalty.
Third and 14 at the 21. Single wing formation. Mosley back to pass. Mosley will have to run. 2-yard gain by Mosley, John with the tackle. Hughes deep in punt formation. "33-yard punt by Hughes, return of 10 by Wilson. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Medium hitch. Caught by Dias at the 25. Humphrey completes the pass to Dias, 26-yard gain, Boschi on the tackle, First down. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Humphrey is off and running. Humphrey with a gain of 2 on the play, Blackwell on the tackle. Single wing formation. Humphrey drops back to pass. Medium out pass to Moody. He dropped it. Humphrey to Moody, incomplete, Zivic on the coverage. Tie score. 3rd and 8 at the 18. Single wing formation. Hand off to Humphrey. He throws to Dias. Complete. Humphrey passes to Dias, gain of 13, Bashi on the tackle, first down. Tie score. 1st and goal at the 5. 1:22 in the 4th. Single wing formation. Burhands to Wilson. Wilson the ball carrier, gain of 4, Shoemaker on the tackle. Second and goal from the 1. Single wing formation. Duke stacked the line. Hand off to Humphrey. He throws to Bird. Incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Bird, Bostic on the coverage. Third and goal from the 1. Single wing formation. Stacked line. Hand off to Wilson. Wilson on the carry, no gain, penalty on the play.
Holding, offense. Number 17, 10-yard penalty.
18-yard kick for Humphrey. Bird to hold. This will give them the lead. The snap from Platt. Humphrey missed from 18. First and 10 from the 20. Single wing formation. Mosley in the shotgun. High snap. Fumble. Mosley lost 14 on the play, fumble recovered by Mosley, Duke maintains possession. Tie score. 2nd and 24 from the 6. 0:45 left in the 4th. Single wing formation. Mosley drops back to pass. Short slant to Warren. He dropped it. Mosley throws incomplete to Warren, Wilson on the coverage. Third and 24. 0:38 left in the game. Single wing formation. Give to Mosley. He dumps it to Blackwell, complete. Mosley passes to Blackwell, gain of 10, Wilson on the tackle. Hughes deep in punt formation. "37-yard punt by Hughes, return of 10 by Wilson. Single wing formation. Humphrey from the shotgun. Give to Humphrey. He throws to Wilson. Incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Wilson, Bashi on the coverage. Single wing formation. Fumbled snap. Fumble. Humphrey lost 8 on the play, fumble recovered by Humphrey, Yale maintains possession. Duke 20, Yale 20. Single wing formation. Davis with the transfer. Davis the ball carrier, gain of 3, John on the tackle. Single wing formation. Boswell gives to Holm. Blocking in front. Holm on the sweep, 15-yard gain, Collins on the stop, first down. First and goal from the 7. Single wing formation. Boswell hands to Bradford. Bradford the ball carrier, gain of 1, Moody on the tackle. Single wing formation. Boswell running. Mosley on the sweep, 4-yard gain, Zilly on the tackle. Third and goal at the 2. Single wing formation. Goal line defense. The give to Mosley. He throws to Boswell, complete. Mosley completes the pass to Boswell, touchdown Duke. Bradford will try the point after. The kick by Bradford is no good, Duke 26, Yale 20. First and 10. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Humphrey dumps it to Wilson, complete. Humphrey completes the pass to Wilson, gain of 7, Holm with the tackle. Single wing formation. Burr pitches left to Wilson. Wilson with daylight. 14-yard gain by Wilson, Holm with the tackle, first down. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Humphrey throws to Dias. Humphrey passes to Dias, incomplete, Boswell with the coverage. Single wing formation. Humphrey at the line. Humphrey sets up in the pocket. False. Humphrey on the carry, touchdown Yale. Miller, Jay will try the point after. The kick by Miller is no good, Duke 26, Yale 26. Single wing formation. Shotgun formation. Humphrey back to pass. Pass in the flat to Wilson, incomplete. Humphrey passes to Wilson, incomplete, Holm on the coverage. Some confusion on the defense. Single wing formation. Humphrey calls the signals. Give to Burr. He passes to Moody, incomplete. Timeout, Duke. Third and 10 from the 25. Single wing formation. The give to Humphrey. He throws to Collins, complete. Humphrey to Collins, 11-yard gain, Boshi on the tackle, first down. Tie score. First and 10. Single wing formation. Humphrey fades back to pass. Humphrey throws to Wilson. Incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Wilson, Holm on the coverage. Tie score. Second and 10. Single wing formation. Humphrey drops back to pass. Short outside pass to Collins, incomplete. Humphrey throws incomplete to Collins, Boshi on the coverage. Third and 10 from the 14. Single wing formation. Humphrey barks out the signals. Humphrey fades back to pass. Humphrey will run. Humphrey with a 6-yard run, Bostic on the stop. 25-yard field goal for Humphrey. Burr to hold. This will give them the lead. The snap from Platt. Humphrey missed the 25-yard attempt. Single wing formation. Shotgun. Holm takes the handoff. Holm on the carry, gain of 1, Moody on the stop. Second and 9. Single wing formation. Mosley fades back to pass. Medium sideline pass to Blackwell, complete. Mosley completes the pass to Blackwell, touchdown Duke.